I got all my hardware. This, you know what's exciting to me now? Hardware. This is like, this tops it. First your hair falls out, and then you start getting interested in hardware. I'm obsessed with hardware now. I go to garage sales, stuff like this. Never mind video games. I get a thing like this, like stainless steel hardware, for $1. A big thing of stainless steel hardware for $1. Oh my God! I crack a boner. And then I come back in here, and I spend hours organizing hardware. Look at this. Great tip. Here we go. You ready for this? See, I got all these baby jars under here like this. Who knows what movie this is from? See that? You take your jar there and you stick it up, and I don't know. Who really cares? You know what? You guys probably have dicks that function. You're not really worried about hardware right now. Anytime something breaks, I'm like, I got that screw. Like I got everything categorized back here. Anyhow. Let's go. Oh boy. Okay. Very first garage sale that I went to, I mean, a brand new hockey mask for $1. I'm like, it's Jason Voorhees. I could care less about hockey. For some reason, this thing just screamed out, oh, have hockey masks changed? Or is this like the same old hockey mask that you get from the 1980s? I don't know. Listen. I remember my parents went away on vacation. Oh, you're gonna stay with your Uncle Gary and your Aunt Doris, all right? I mean, they were nuts. They were nuts. I don't know how to explain it. The first night I'm there, the first afternoon I'm there, I sat there with her daughter, and we watched Thriller. And it absolutely scared the living shit out of me. And she watched Thriller over and over and over again. This is when MTV was in its infancy, baby. You remember that? You remember when a group like Dire Straits had videos on MTV? It was like a bunch of old guys. Like, you don't see ugly in music videos anymore. But the guys from Dire Straits were ugly dudes. It was the Jay Giles band was like, huh? Like, these guys are horrendous. Now everybody on TV is beautiful. That's why it's so goddamn boring. Anyhow, that night, she sits me down and she makes me watch Friday the 13th. And I'm not saying, I'm not sitting there telling you that it was just, you know, I could have went somewhere else and played with toys or something like that. No, she made me watch Friday the 13th. And I forgot which one it was, but I remember it's burnt into my brain. It was one where there was a kid who got caught in one of those, like, what's that trap that you set in the forest that works for everybody but you if you try it? Where if you step in it, you wind up hanging upside down by your ankles. Anyhow, some kid stepped in a trap like that, and he was hanging upside down, and then Jason Voorhees comes out and cuts his throat with a machete, and then the blood is just like sheeting out of his neck. Oh yeah, that was appropriate. I'm like, how old could I have been? This was before Ghostbusters, so it was like 80, 82? 81, 82? I don't know. And then, what did she put on next? Oh, then we watch Basket Case, which was the most horrifying thing. I'm so traumatized by that visit. I never said a word to anybody. I didn't know what to say. And then the following night, we watched, she had a pool. Oh my God. That's what sold me. Okay? You got to stay at Uncle Gary and Aunt Doris's. They got a pool. Fantastic. That's all I needed to know. I would go out into the pool. I would stay in the pool for hours, unsupervised. Anything could have happened. I could have jumped all into the pool. I could have hit my head on the edge of the pool. I would have been sitting there, dead meat, floating. By the time my Aunt Doris would have found me, I would have looked like a bloated sausage. For Christ's sake. So, oh yeah, so second or third night I'm there, we watch Poltergeist. And there's a scene at the end of Poltergeist where the guy or the girl falls into the pool, and like all these dead bodies start like popping up all around her or all around them. And I was like, okay, that's it for the pool. Anyhow, the only good thing about Aunt Doris is she had an endless supply of yodels and funny bones in the cupboard, and she did not care how many you took. Okay, this was amazing to me. I remember my mother after dinner, okay, you can have 3 Chips Ahoy cookies. It was always 3 cookies after dinner. And it was like, oh my God, how you would savor them. It was like, oh, you'd find different ways to eat them more slowly than the next. Or it was 3 Oreo cookies. Or it was 3 pieces of chocolate. It was always 3. It was always like the desserts were rationed out. And then I remember going over to my friend Frank's house, and he used to open up like a bread drawer, and there was Twizzlers in there was Ring Dings, Hostess cupcakes, and he would just eat them. This is why you don't do the whole, you don't try to regulate the amount of sweets that your kids eat. I wasn't allowed to drink soda at my house. Well, we didn't have soda in the house. And again, if you wanted a cookie, you had to ask. And if you were granted permission, you got 3 cookies. Okay? You know what I used to do with my allowance? I used to blow the whole damn thing. I would get to my $2, and I would go in and I would blow the whole thing at the candy store. That's what a freak it turned me into. My friend Frank, he had endless access. Cupcakes, cookies, candy bars. It was all in there. Now and laters, in the container like this. Did Frank care about sweets? No, because he had them whenever he wanted them. So he would never go in there. But then me, like a crackhead, I would come over and I'd be like, hey Frank, can I take some candy or some desserts? He's like, oh yeah, go ahead. And next thing you know, I'd plow through the drawer. I'd take the big container of Twizzlers and I'd go upstairs and I'd be like, he's probably looking at me like, what's wrong with you? You can't take things away from kids. Then they want it. And soda. And I would go over my friend Phil's soda. His mother had an endless supply of Simply Soda. First thing I would do when I went over to Phil's house, I'd kick open the refrigerator door and pour a huge glass of Simply Soda. Oh my God, it was heaven. And they wanted, like, I don't even know if I liked my friends that much. I just went over to their houses to watch MTV and eat candy. If I really evaluate that, I wonder if I actually had friends, like meaningful relationships, or if I was just addicted. Oh my God. Me and Phil used to make a fucking iced tea that would put you into a coma. I don't know. A hockey mask. Alright. What do you got here? I gotta get this out of the way. Here we go. I don't know what I'm doing here. I couldn't pass it up. I went to this one garage sale, and across the street a woman was just putting out. This happens a lot of times. Garage sales are I don't know, what would you say they are? They're contagious. Like sometimes somebody has a garage sale and then they was like, oh, I got some things I can sell, and they put it out in the driveway. Anyway, this old lady put a stack of records, and this record player was sitting on a bucket outside. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, look at that old, wood little frame there and whatnot. And the thing that grabbed me was, it's got this tone arm. And look at that tone arm. It's like machined aluminum. And I said, Jesus Crimla. They don't make anything like that anymore. I don't know. And then I said, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm sitting there in a daze staring at it. And I'm like, my ability to go out and track down video games is like evaporating right in front of my eyes. And I'm sitting there zoning out, and I'm looking at this stupid, and look at the platter. Like, look at the machine work. This is an aluminum platter. And I'm like, I'm just staring at it. I said, I came to it, and I was like, let me get out of here. I hop in my car. I get about 4 blocks away, and I'm like, I gotta get that turntable. I don't know, there's something about it. So I drove back, and I asked the old lady how much she wanted. She said, $5. I said, okay, fine. I took it. It's a duel. A duel. And I thought to myself when I saw it, I said, a duel? Because duel has always been synonymous with like the most low quality audio equipment you could ever imagine in your life. Right? It's like, every time you go to buy a pair of car speakers, if you go to Walmart, they have like the dual speakers. They're like the economy version of speakers that you can buy. With like, I don't know. So, dual, like the brand, I'm like, but the tone arm grabbed me. I don't know, it's a record player. It's a record player, I couldn't pass it up. I tried to do the whole record player thing. I can't do it. It's like my buddy, he just spent like 10 grand on a record player. I'm like, he sent me pictures of it. It was like, it's 10. The whole, I'm going to tell you something about these audiophiles. Alright? They're all full of horseshit and they're bored out of their mind. You don't need a $10,000 record. Well, you don't understand this. The platin, it's called, the plinth, or the platin is made from slate that was mined in like Uzbekistan, and you don't understand it. They can't get equipment up the side of this rock quarry to get, so it's got to be hand chiseled. There's always a story with every piece of equipment. And then when you come over to the house, you got to sit in a certain spot. It's the zone. And then they're going to put on this recording of Dizzy Gillespie from the 1940s. I'm like, can you put on some Led Zeppelin? It's so aggravating. They all have the same record they're going to put on for you. And it's the same part of the song. And they're looking at you like, I got news for you. With audiophilia, there's a law of diminishing returns. I mean, listen, you can give me $1,000. Give me $1,000. Give me $100. I'll find you a beautiful old Pioneer receiver at the yard sales. And some fucking, I don't know, the best sounding speakers I ever heard was some KLHs that I found at a yard sale. Okay? The best stereo system I ever had, I paid probably less than $30 for. And I got news for you. My buddy's stereo was incrementally better than that. And he spent 30 grand on it? I don't know. It's like craft beer drinkers. It's no different. I got news for you. If you can sit there, I got a buddy who writes reviews on craft beer. I'm like, if you're going to sit there and write an essay about a beer, you're an alcoholic. That's what we call that. That's an alcoholic. All right, I'm sorry. Beer that's 12% alcohol by volume. And then he's going to have the audacity to tell me that I'm not a true beer drinker. All right, I'm going to tell you what a true beer drinker is. I used to know a guy who was a fucking payload operator. He was about 400 pounds. They'd hand him a case of beer on his lunch break. And his name was Tiny. They'd hand him a case of beer on his lunch break, and that case of beer would be done by the end of his shift, which was about 5 o'clock, while he's operating a payloader. I think he had a catheter going out into the side of the payloader so he could just sit there and piss while he was drinking. Okay, you're not going to see Tiny writing an essay on Budweiser. It's beer, people. It's beer. Get over it. Don't let them fool you. It's like women that love wine. Okay? I love these Long Island housewife winos. Oh, it's the greatest thing ever to hear them sit. I had a girl tell me she was in a tailspin about a guy that she met because he didn't know anything about wine and cheese. Those are the kind of dirtbags you got to deal with out here in Long Island. We got people, women out here in Long Island are so obnoxious because we got the vineyards out here. You put a vineyard anywhere and women lose their minds. And they're such wine connoisseurs until the end of the trip to the vineyard when they're walking around with the broken heel. They're fucking sauced out of their brain. They got the broken heel to run up their stocking. Hey, this is good wine. You don't know. I got news for you. When I used to date girls. Oh my God! I tell you what, now I can tell you right now. When I used to date girls, I used to go down to the fucking liquor store. We had a liquor store right next to a supermarket. I used to buy the cheapest bottle of wine they had. If it was like $4. Because there's one thing people don't know, okay? Especially women with wine. They don't recognize any wine. Especially the cheapest stuff. Because they don't even look at it, right? They go in there, women go in there, it's a big thing to buy a $30, $40 bottle of wine. I would buy the cheapest stuff. It was like $3.99. And then I go next door to the supermarket. I'd peel the little price tag off of it. I go over to the supermarket, look for the first stock boy. They're stocking the shelves. I say, hey, buddy, can you slap an $80 sticker on this bottle of wine? He'd be like, yeah, sure. Next thing you know, I walk to the door. I said, I bought a bottle of wine for us, no big deal. She sees the $80 sticker. She's like, I mean, next thing you know. I tell you what, You kids, you don't know anything about dating. I came up with the formula for the perfect date. You just got to get your buddies in on it. You ready for this? You got a girl that, listen, you got a girl that you're pining after. You want to take her out on a date, okay? You really want to knock her socks off? Here's what you do. You got to talk to a couple of your buddies. You get everybody all set up. You take her out. You have your first buddy planted in front of the restaurant with a broken down car. He's got the hood all open. You tell him to pull a couple of plug wires or something like that. As you get your car, you walk over, you know, you get her out of the car or whatnot. Your buddy comes over. She doesn't know that it's your buddy, right? It's a stranger. Guy goes, hey man, you think you can help me out? He goes, I can't get my car started here. I'm stuck. You say to the guy, hey, give me a second, all right? You pop the hood. You straighten out the wires under the hood. Da 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 da. He starts the car. Hey man, I don't know how to thank you. Oh, this is great. You shut the hood. No big deal. Honey, let's go in the restaurant. I gotta wash my hands. She's looking at you like, wow, you fixed that car like that. Then you go into the restaurant. Maybe you stop in the bar area and you have your other friend set up there. Now he's gonna be like the obnoxious drunk. This is the friend that you want to, like the guy that's in good shape or maybe bigger than you. You sit there, have a couple drinks at the bar. Your friend comes over, starts hitting on your girl. And you say, hey buddy, she's taken. And then you have your friend get a little loud with you. Oh, mind your fucking business or whatever, stuff like that. And then you get in his face and you say, you can't act like a man, you want to step outside, and you basically belittle him. And then you have your friend just back down and say, hey man, alright, it's cool, it's cool. And then he says, then he buys you drinks for the night. And then the girl's like, whoa, this guy is like unreal. And to top it off, after dinner, you have your other buddy outside the restaurant, like laying in a ditch somewhere, like a homeless guy. And you walk up to him, and you pull 100 out of your wallet. You say, hey buddy, get yourself a cup of coffee. Alright? And about 10 minutes later, you're balls deep. Hey, and just hope that your buddy gives you the $100 back later when you see him. So, anyway, Bidham 1000 tip. You're welcome. You're welcome. Alright, what are we talking about here? Hey, I come into the house the other day. And no, actually, I woke up in the morning, and I see this stack of games on my dining room table. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what's this all about? I'm like, maybe it's my stepson. So my stepson gets up for work. I'm like, hey, what's with the video games? I'm like, he's like, I don't know. I don't know whose they are. So it's like, all right. So now I'm thinking to myself, it's somebody in the family. Somebody wants me to, immediately thought somebody wants me to throw these on eBay for them. Because it's always that way when you have an eBay account. You know, people in the family find out, it's not like it's a big deal, but people find out that you put stuff on eBay, and next thing you know, they want to sell all their shit through you. Like, can you sell this? Can you sell that? Never mind that I got to sit there and I got to list it, and I got to take photos of it, and usually it's a piece of shit that nobody wants to buy, but you don't want to break the news to them, and they want $1 million for it. When I put stuff on eBay, I list everything at 99 cents. Okay? If it's going to sell, it's going to sell. If it's worth anything, it's going to be, somebody's going to see it, and if it's worth anything, it'll sell for basically what it's worth. So I'm not going to sit there and break my head trying to figure out what price to put it at, and then it doesn't sell, and I got to relist it. Just 99 cents. Get the headache out of here. So everybody thinks they have gold, and they're asking too much for it, so you list it, and then it doesn't sell, and they're like, well, you know, like, they're looking at you like you're the asshole. So I'm like, oh, great. Somebody wants me to sell this shit for them. So finally, I talked to my wife later on in the day, and she goes, oh no, my sister got these, found these for you. I don't know, she was helping somebody clean out their house, and she got these games for you. I was like, oh wow, home run score. Anyhow, it's Shrek 2 for the Game Boy Advance. Raving Rabbids for the Wii. Okay, that was the end of motion controls for me. I think it was this game right here. Was it Raving Rabbids? It was some rabbit game where you had to wiggle the controller, shake the controller. I saw the demise of the motion controller as soon as I played this game, because I was like, alright, this is getting fucking annoying. It was one thing when you were like, we're playing Wii Sports Tennis or something like that, and now, I don't know. Super Smash Brothers Brawl. We don't have the case for it though. Pokemon Black version. Just a little DS case here with Super Mario Brothers and Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Super Paper Mario. Luigi's Mansion. For the GameCube. Paper Mario, The Thousand-Year Door. What is this? The Fairly Odd Parents Shadow Showdown. Dragon Ball Z. NBA Live 2005. Billy Hatcher. Ty, the Tasmanian Tiger Bush Rescue. NBA Live 2004. NFL Street and Tony Hawk. This is a rental, Blockbuster rental. Oh, yeah, rental or sales case. Tony Hawk, American Wasteland with a GameCube memory card in there. So wow, that was a nice little pop for free, I thought. And it just so happens at the garage sales, the very first garage sale, no, the second garage sale that I went to, the one that was across the street from the lady with the record player, I saw. Boy, I tell you what. I can spot video games, I swear to God, from almost a block away as I'm driving up. I saw these GameCube games from like 2 houses down as I'm driving up on the table there. Anyhow, we got another stack of GameCube games here. 007 Nightfire. Star Wars Rogue Leader. 007 Agent Under Fire. What is with this? What is with this? With the sticker on the spine? That's heartbreaking, man. That's just heartbreaking. I don't know. I'm not the biggest GameCube fan in the world, but I don't want to see stickers on the goddamn. That's not. Oh, that one's on the plastic. Was this one on the plastic too? No, this one was stuck on the label. Come on, it's that insidious. From Russia with Love. A James Bond fan here, huh? And 007, Everything or Nothing. Wow, a lot of James Bond games, huh? On the GameCube. And, wow, Heir Apparent to GoldenEye, Time Splitters 2. Alright, this guy was obviously a big GoldenEye fan, no? Perhaps. So there you go. These were, what you want, $2 a game for them, 6 games. I offered $10, so there you have it. Let me tell you something. The humidity it's incredible in here today. Bad hair day. Bad hair day. I think as soon as I hit 38, I think every day following the age of 38 would wound up being a bad hair day for me. All right. Oh, okay. Oh, I guess. Hey. All right. So I was getting chewed up by the sharks. I actually pulled up to one garage sale. I pull up to one garage sale. I see this one guy. He's got a goatee. He's got a hat on backwards. And I see him, and automatically I just drive away. I say, all right, let me get 2 or 3 sales ahead of this guy. I know which direction he travels. So I'm like, let me lose this idiot. I actually saw him waiting there for somebody to come out of the house, so he obviously found something. But I cannot, I was going to sit there and see what kind of box they were bringing out, but I'm like, why am I torturing myself? And I'm just wasting time anyhow. So I said, let me jump a couple garage sales forward. I wound up going into another town just to get away from this guy. And I wound up going pretty far out east, which I haven't done in a while. Anyhow, it was a big garage sale, like a block-long garage sale, which I love. I love it. This is great. You go from one house to another. You bounce across the street. You feel like you're in some old town somewhere, and you're meeting the neighbors. I don't know. It's a good thing to have a community sale like that. Anyhow, I wind up going up to this one lady. I asked her if she has any, old video games or anything. She goes, I got a Nintendo, but it's just a Nintendo. I said, all right, bring it out. Anyhow, she brings this thing out. And I wish you could smell this thing. I think this is, I'd love to do like a lab test on this. Because I think if I took a swab and we put it in a petri dish, it would test positive for nicotine. You got to smell this thing. This smells like the Babylon bowling alley. Look at the yellowing on this. Look at the inside. Look at the yellowing on that. It's absolutely incredible. And could it be the plastic? Because the inside's fine. This is smoke. Smoke. You don't know the kind of smoking some people do. I got news for you. I got this guy at work. His mother-in-law smokes 4 packs a day. I was doing the math on that. 4 packs a day. That's 80 cigarettes. You got to sleep like what, 7, 8 hours? That's 16 hours. What's 80 divided by 16? What's that, like 4 or 5 cigarettes an hour? 5 cigarettes an hour? It's like every 10 minutes you're having a cigarette. It's like you have a cigarette hanging out of your mouth the entire day. I mean, don't get me wrong, it sounds fantastic. But how long can you pull that off? My God, sip of coffee for 4 packs of cigarettes a day. He's like, my buddy tells me, he goes, yeah, my father-in-law tries to take away a cigarette sometimes. And then she goes into like a fit, like a 3-year-old. Where's my cigarettes? I was like, yeah, you could imagine. Because what a powerful addiction it must be at that point. Imagine going a half hour. It must be, you must start going through withdrawals within like a half an hour of not having a cigarette. I don't know. Duck hunt. Ironically, it comes with this cleaning kit that's in 2 pieces. The Eliminator, Nintendo system, prevents power flashes, blank screens, scrambled pictures. How about that? The Eliminator. You know, joystick, all the wires are in there, whoopee-doo. So now the new thing is, I don't know what it is. It's like, the new thing now is, I've been picking up DVDs. And the thing about DVDs is they never disappoint. I mean, you can go out looking for video games and sure, you might not find anything. But you'll always find DVDs now. So that's like the new thing that I'm excited about. So we got Eddie Murphy Raw. I mean, speaking of Raw, brand new. Brand new. How are you going to walk away? $1. I don't pay more than $1 for DVDs. DVDs you get for 50 cents, $1. It's like I told myself I was going to get only the best stuff, and then I loosened my belt a little bit because I'm so excited about buying DVDs now. I don't know. Eddie Murphy Raw. I remember as a kid, my parents had a videotape of Eddie Murphy Delirious, and after it was taped, you know, it was taped on extended play where you could fit like 4 hours of material on a VCR tape, but then the video quality was chopped in like half. I don't know, every time I used to record anything on my DVD player, number one, I had a 120-minute tape. And I would record everything on extended play. So that 2-hour tape turned into like 8 hours somehow. And I would just fill it with like monster movies, Twilight Zone, Sunday morning Kung Fu Theater, wrestling matches. Oh my God, I wish I could find some of those old tapes. Yeah. So I used to watch Eddie Murphy Delirious. It was fantastic. I used to watch it over and over and over and over again. And Howie Mandel. But here it is. I remember seeing Raw later on, and the thing about Raw is you got to see the bit on Italians that just saw the movie Rocky. It's one of the greatest bits of all time. All right, Clint Eastwood, The Unforgiven. Oh my God! Talk about a movie. Who owns this shithole? Alright. Yeah, this is a great movie. Hey, it's Pee-wee's Big Adventure, brand new. How am I going to... That's how I said... I said I'm going to have a shelf full of only the greatest movies of all time. I gotta have it. Oh, here we go. The Shining. What a wonderful movie. The best part about The Shining is when she discovers the typewriter. What does it say? All work, no play makes Johnny a dull boy over and over and over again. Was that what it says? On the papers? And she starts scrambling through the papers and starts... That's when you start to realize that this guy has all his screws loose. It's frightening. Forget monsters, okay? When you realize somebody's lost their mind in a very subtle way like that, it's the most horrifying thing that can happen, especially when it's your husband and you have a child with him and you're locked up in a hotel somewhere, in an empty hotel, isolated, and there's no way to get out. Thrilling. Oh. It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everybody likes to talk about what happened when The Exorcist came out. Remember that? People running out of the movie theaters? People passing out? But remember the talk and the craze about Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the 1980s? This was forbidden fruit. This might as well have been a snuff film back in the day. To see Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Forget about it. Oh my God, I remember when my mother let me watch Nightmare on Elm Street. That was a huge deal. But I was not going to be able to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the interesting thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre is it's not even a very gory movie. If you really think about it. One of the most frightening parts of this movie is when they pick up that psycho in the van in the beginning, and he pulls out the straight razor. It was like, okay, I'll tell you something. What do we do now? Yeah. How innocent were people back then? Where it was like, now it's the normal thing to grab a chainsaw in a horror movie. But back then, it was like, this guy came up with a new idea, right? We'll kill people with a chainsaw. Like, wow, that's terrifying. On so many levels, right? The noise of it, the rough cut that a chainsaw makes. What year was this? Was this 1974? This movie was ahead of its time, Jack. If that's true, this is 1974? Damn. Silence of the Lambs. Anthony Hopkins. That's all you need to know. Jodie Foster. Because a guy tried to kill the President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, because of Jodie Foster, right? Yeah. Sure. I love that one. Think about that. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. What are you, the CIA? You take this guy, you brainwash him. You don't even have to brainwash him. Yeah, you brainwash him. Then you have him go... never mind. Indiana Jones. I felt like obligated with this one, right? Here's one for you. I never even saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. That gives people the shivers when I tell them that. I saw the Temple of Doom. I never saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, so I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time. And One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Wow, what a classic, huh? What a classic. Yeah? That's a classic movie, buddies. Check it out. Anyhow, almost the last garage sale that we went to, it was on that block with all the other garage sales. I asked this lady if she had any old video games. She goes, yeah, I think I do. I think I have an old Nintendo. She goes inside. She goes, it's a Super Nintendo. Is that okay? I was like, all right, I'll look at it. So she goes back inside. She goes, my son's looking for it. So I'm like, oh boy, your son. Here we go. This guy might be savvy because, you know, moms are great. They sell you video games for pennies on the dollar. They just want to see him out of the house. They hate him. She comes out with this. So right away I'm popping a boner. She says to me, I said, well, how much do you want for it? She goes, 40. He wants $40 for it. And I'm like, I give the old eye roll and I look at her like, come on, Mom. I said, how about $20? She goes, that's fine. I love moms. Anyhow, it's a Super Nintendo Super Set. How about that? The boxes, it's okay. It's got some wear on it. It's got, you know what the thing that trips my mind? Here it is, you bought this Super Nintendo, right? You had the wherewithal to keep the box. Then when your son was done playing the Super Nintendo, you put it in the box. Then you put it in the basement for how many years now? How many years? It's been 20 years, right? It's been longer than 20 years. 25 years you keep it down there. So you had this thing taking up space in your basement for 25 years, only to bring it upstairs and sell it for $20. So you basically rented this space down in your basement for 20 years, 25 years for $20. That's the thing that blows my mind. And this thing takes up a lot of space. So it's, if you think about the basements across America and what's down there, I don't know. Yeah. Oh wow, look at that. I didn't even, wow, it's nice and clean, nice and clean. Super Nintendo, 3 joysticks. That's nice, they're clean. The wires. The manual. All the paperwork. And I threw the game in this bag because they had the game out of the box. So Super Mario World. So there you go. Guys, sip of coffee for a box Super Nintendo, eh? Guys, you just tuned into the greatest video game program in the history of human civilization. And you better believe that. With a 4K face! See you next time.